Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well out there. We are live today, Friday. Oh, these 4-day weeks. They're a killer. We're live on Friday, the 25th of April. Another month has flown past, and we're back with another deck tech. Today, we are going to be brewing Eshki Dragonclaw. That's the first time I've ever actually said this word out loud. Let's go with Eshki Dragonclaw. It's a cool deck. It's a little bit it is quite interesting, and it is a little bit different. The theme is going to be kind of adventure matters. Nice way of saying that. Let's read Eshki. It is a cool commander, and we have a cool way of building it for everyone today. So Eshki Dragonclaw is 1 and a teamer for a 4/4 legendary creature human warrior with vigilance, trample, and ward 1. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've cast both a creature spell and a non-creature spell, this turn, draw a card and put 2+1 counters on Eshki Dragonclaw. So, if you know me, you will know that I love commanders that have the word draw a card on them. It just makes the deck easier to come together, because it's kind of doing an important part. And we're all Magic players, even the most hardened mono red mage loves drawing cards. We all love drawing cards, and just having it on a commander is nice. It's a nice little baseline for us to have, and Eshki's a solid commander. This is going to be a lot of generically good cards combined with some synergy. The reason I say that is because the way we're going to be building this today is kind of an adventure / omen matters deck. The reason for that is, effectively, an adventure, if we just search for an adventure, an adventure is both a creature and an instant or sorcery on one card. So therefore, we don't, when I first saw this and I saw people were interested in it, I was kind of like, how do you build this? Some kind of spell slingery thing where you have to run a bunch of creatures and you have to run a bunch of non-creature spells. And it's no, that's not really how it works. You can just run both. You can run the best of these. So we might not be running Amethyst Dragon or Amethyst or Explosive Crystal, but effects like this, we can cast one part on the turn and then follow up with the creature. Or if we stack them up, we can cast one adventure and then cast a different creature, that kind of stuff. So the makeup of the deck, we are going to be trying to be good and try and make it about 50-50 in terms of playables. We are going to go for 50% creatures, 50% non-creature spells, just so we kind of have that consistency in the deck. But we are going to be doing a lot of stuff that revolves around. We're going to be looking for a lot of effects on adventures and on omens. Omens are obviously the new hotness when it comes to split cards like this. And another way we're going to be just getting an added bit of synergy in the deck is also focus on this. Effectively, this does effectively say if you cast 2 spells a turn, they just have to specifically be a creature and a non-creature. So this deck does want us to be casting two spells before our combat phase. So therefore, we're going to be looking for effects that reward us for casting 2 spells a turn. We have all of our sections at the top here. Link to the deck will obviously be in the description below if you want to copy this and build this yourself. The point of these brackets, these kind of sections, is that you can copy them yourself. So when I put in 12 bits of card draw, if you have 12 different bits of card draw, if you like 12 other cards, you can pick the ones that you want, and the deck will still function. The goal of this is so that everyone has a functional deck and everyone can play Magic and enjoy themselves. The card draw and ramp sections are slightly higher than regular, and that's because I'm expecting there to be a lot of overlap with the... we want to run as many adventures and omens as possible, and realistically, a lot of adventures and omens do things like draw cards, they ramp in some way, they interact in some way, that kind of thing. So they will take up a lot of our sections, but we want to make sure we have enough of them, so we will run more if there are... As long as there's cards that do the effect that we want, we will consider them if they are adventures or omens. So we're going to pad them a little bit to make sure that there's enough in the deck. In terms of winning the game, Eshki gets pretty big. The Ward 1 isn't the strongest, but Vigilance Trample is. If you like each turn, it's growing by 2. Like, you only need to do this like 2 or 3 times and give it double strike, and then it can kill a player. That's pretty scary. So we will have kind of like a Voltron-y extra combat step type of thing. The thing with these decks is, for some reason my eyebrow is really itchy this morning, and I don't know why. Probably because I scratched it to begin with. But anyway, that was a random aside. But yeah, like with this deck, we're in these colours. We're in the colours of ramp, card draw, and beating people in the face. So we're just going to have some beef. Part of that will be Voltron, part of that will just be attacking with other things. Should be fun. But let's start off. So normally when we do these deck techs, we will start by looking at the cast 2 spells a turn stuff, then we'll go into our card draw, then we'll go into our ramp, that kind of stuff. But I think the best way to start with this is we're just going to start looking at adventures in our colours. So we're in Scryfall, blue, red and green is our commander. Let's look at adventures and see where things start fitting in. Because what? We have 68 to pick from, but we're not necessarily going to go for all 68 of these. So we might as well just start. Let's go through by mana value good. We can do EDH rank. Okay. Let's go through it this way. So immediately you kind of see at the start, we have Beanstalk Giant. This isn't the most efficient bit of ramp, but in this deck, it is a very good bit of ramp. What you see is you like this is kind of in line of we can adventure on one turn, and then we can play either this creature or a different creature we adventure. Like the way I'm seeing this deck, marvelous. Good morning, Aku MTG, or good evening. Yeah, the way we're going to run this deck is with these, but like we don't. It's not. We're not necessarily. We want to be casting the adventure part and a creature part. It doesn't have to be the same. We can cast the ramp part and then cast a cheaper creature afterwards. So we will also be flooding the deck with cheap instants, cheap non-creature spells, and cheap creatures, so we can top it up. Because I do know they're kind of like going 3-drop into 7-drop, not the easiest on the curve. But Beanstalk Giant, very good in terms of ramp spells. That gets in. Monster Manual I do like. I just don't know what it's doing in the deck. It's cheating in big things, but I don't think we're going to have a super amount of them. We might come back to Monster Manual. Let's just open you in a new tab. We'll come back to you. Virtue of Strength, I think I like. For the Garenbrig Growth Bar, if I'm honest with you. So, like, the 7 mana, your land's tapped for 3 is nice. But just it's going to get in the deck because return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a nice bit of recursion. We want a little bit in this deck. Virtue of Strength will do that. Also, with this deck, the curve is going to be dreadful. But trust me, it will be alright because the curve is very much going to look at the fact that Virtue of Strength is a 7-drop. But in the deck, it's really a 1-drop. And I don't have time to go through and adjust all this. So just trust me that the curve is going to be wonderful. I'm not sure we want Virtue of Knowledge. We like this is very strong, but it just only need to do something in the deck. I think I like Brazen Borrower. Like bounces are less good in multiplayer formats, but it's a cheap effect and it's a cheap creature. So I think this is going to be interaction. This is one of the reasons why we are running slightly more of these effects, because this synergizes well with the deck, but it's not the strongest. Like Bramble Familiar, it's a 2-mana mana dog. Like, it has other text, which is good, and the other text can be useful. Like, this is a nice bit of recursion later in the game, but effectively this is a 2-mana ramp spell. Yeah, Akua MDG has a good point. There are so many good adventure removal options, there's almost no reason to run non-adventure ones. So, the ones we are going to be topping up with is just cheap ones, just so we can trigger this twice a turn. Like, say for example, we cast the instant, the instant part of this, Petty Theft on our main phase 1 to bounce something. We want to follow it up with a cheap creature, so we might run like a Llanowar Elves in the ramp section, just so we have something cheap to help trigger the commander. Likewise, like Bramble Familiar is a cheap creature, but the adventure is more expensive. So we can cast the cheap creature, and then maybe we'll have like a Ponder or something like that, or like a Lightning Bolt to be the non-creature spell we cast. Like that's going to be the exception. But yeah, primarily we have a bunch of cool options. We might as well lean into it. Let's crack on with it. So Virtue of Courage. Actually, I guess with the virtues to an extent, because it's two non-creature spells, so they are less good in the deck synergistically than the creature spells. But if the effect is good, then we can consider them, I guess. Because like I'm looking at two-handed axe, and like target creature you can draw in double target on turn is pretty solid, and double its power is pretty solid, but it's not triggering the commander, so I don't think we want it actually. Virtue of Strength is just strong, so we can keep that in, but let's do Bone Crusher Giant, a great bit of interaction. 2 mana for a shock that can't be prevented. We love that, and then it's a perfectly solid creature. Kellen, great card. Investigate, you may play an additional land this turn. This is sort of, we'll call this... It kind of does a bit of everything, because then the body also interacts with something. We'll call this card draw, maybe? Investigate is guaranteeing to draw us a card at some point. But Kellen does a little bit of everything. And that's one of the best things about this deck is it's going to be very flexible. Like, yes, things might be like 1 or 2 mana more expensive, but you're just going to have a lot of options. Alright. Tillancorley Hunter? I have never seen this card before. Ooh, once each turn you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a creature spell you cast from exile. That's niche. How are we casting? It's like a food chain card or something like that. Pray, exile target creature card from... This is just a bit too expensive. Sapphire Dragon, counter target non-creature spell. This is going to get in as a little bit of protection. We do want ways of protecting our commander. It's going to get big, and... Why am I tagging Sapphire Dragon? Sapphire Dragon is a bit of interaction. That's what we're doing. Right, one sec. Marvelous. So yeah, seeing some good suggestions in the chat. Yeah, I missed the start of the stream. I assume that since most of the deck is going to be permanents, would a non-permanent Cascade discover/trigger your commander instantly? I'm pretty positive it would. If you are cascading into one of these things, then yes. Yeah, if you have... I mean, I can't think of the... Well, yeah, Cascade, very solid in this deck, because it is effectively letting you cast 2 spells. So if you do a non-creature one, and the bulk of the deck is creatures, then yeah, that will trigger the commander straight away. So very nice. Alright, let's keep going down. What else do we have? Stormcurled Vanguard, destroy target artifact or enchantment for the bear down. Perfectly solid. Get in on the interaction section. Yeah, it's the cheaper ones. So you can kind of see the more expensive ones are kind of the more higher... Are ranked higher in commander, as it were. But I think it's more like these ones. Like the 2 mana ones with a 2 mana... Like 2 mana creature, 2 mana instant or sorcery. That's pretty solid. So this also be a bit of interaction. Beanstalk Worm, you may play an additional land this turn. 5/4 reach, you can get in as... We'll call you Ramp. We're drawing cards, fortunately, quite a lot in this deck, so it will work quite well. Elusive Otter, distribute X-spells and counters among target creatures you control. Ooh, that's a nice little Voltron section. Just put that on our commander. And then you have a nice little creature as well. It's very cheap to activate. Okay, this one seems very good. Like this, effectively, this is 2 mana to put 2 counters on our commander, just by itself. Voltron. Marvelous. Embrace Shieldbreaker, another bit of interaction. This is kind of why we were saying at the start that these sections might be a bit higher, because there's just so many of these options. Like, generally speaking, when they've added these sort of effects into sets, it's so they can kind of do the bread and butter things like draw cards, things like interact with stuff, like questing druid, exile the top 2 cards of your library until the next end step you play those cards. That's a perfectly solid bit of card advantage. So it will go into card draw. Where are we? There's a bunch of cool ones. This isn't the best bit of ramp, but it's still solid. As with this one, create a treasure token. Let's draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. I still want these to be impactful. Like, I'm kind of skipping through some of these just because, like, this is so expensive. But scry 1 and draw a card, I think, is fine. We're probably going to need some ways of discounting creature spells, or discounting spells, if I'm honest with you, just because these are a little bit pricey. Search your library for a doctor. That might be a bit niche in this deck. That's a rummage effect. Ooh, okay, you're a good one. Humans you control. Is our commander a human? It is. Okay, humans you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Then it's a 5-mana, 5/5 Vigilant Trample Haste. Whenever Carvista attacks, but a count on each human you control. That's pretty solid. You can get in as a bit of protection. We haven't tagged up protection yet. Let's do that now. You also look fun. Ballooner Grand Squall. 3 mana, 4/4. Permanent spells you cast that have an adventure cost are 1 generic less to cast. That's perfect in this deck. And you have mill 7 cards, then put all cards that have an adventure from among the milled cards into your hand. That seems pretty good. That's both card draw and ramp. We'll put you in card draw just because ramp will probably be a bit more... I want to make sure we have bits that actually are guaranteed to ramp us in here. Card draw can be a little bit looser, but that seems like a great card in this deck. Discard your hand and draw 2 cards. Also niche. I don't like discarding my hand unless I'm doing something very cool with it. Ooh, Rimrock Knight. Love that. Alright, let's keep going through. You're not a legal magic card, are you? Yeah, you can see kind of the combat tricks are less good in Commander. But in this deck, that might not be bad. You may choose to target a non-creature card you own from outside the game. Well, we're not doing that. Let's just have a quick look at it from mana value. Because in theory, these will be easier for us to cast, so therefore they're more likely to get in the deck. I think with these, I think in your hand they count as creatures. So the mill 4 cards, put an instant or sorcery card or fairy card from among them into your hand isn't going to work, unfortunately. If we could get this back, then that would be quite solid. I don't think we actually want the monster manual. I'm just looking at Rimrock Knight. I do like Rimrock Knight. Where are we? Lovestruck Beast is pretty solid, but it's just like a generic bit of beef. We can run Brightcap Badger. Actually, no. Even in this deck, I don't want to spend 7 mana to ramp twice. I think we can discard 4, draw 4 cards and discard 2 cards. This is an expensive but fine bit of card draw. What we might lean into a little bit here is the fact that most of our spells are going to be, or all of our spells will have an option to be cast cheaper, but like these, it's a 2 mana spell or a 6 or a 6 mana spell. So maybe stuff like Up the Beanstalk might not be the worst in this deck for that reason. So the other one is Omen. These are less good in this deck, just because they get shuffled back into the library, but the effects are stronger because of that. So, like stuff like Sagu Bloom Vine Regent is a great one because the sorcery is 3 mana, search your library up to 2 basic forests, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then put one on the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand. So it doesn't fix us great, but it does ramp us. And so Storm Shriek Feral is also a solid bit of card draw. Meringue River Regent is a great bit of card draw. As the thing, we want these effects in the deck. With the Omen side, it is more which one do we want at that time. We have to effectively choose. I could see this. I could see RuneScale Stormbreed getting in just as the protection spell, just because most of the things we want to counter are it's more instant or sorceries we want to counter with our protection. So this might be a little bit niche. If the effect was better, I think it would get in a bit more. But I think it's going to be. And to be fair, we've got 21 of these effects in the deck. That's pretty solid. 21 effects that are both instants or that are both adventures and creatures. So that's pretty solid. So let's just get some more generic bits in now. So let's do our cast 2 spells a turn. How are these generally worded? Is it if you cast your second spell? So these in theory are rewarding us for doing what the deck is doing. Oh, cool. Marvellous. We have 39 of these. Let's EDH rank this and see what we got. Ooh, Ledger Shredder. Now that's a magic card. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder connives. So this is effectively a bit of card draw. Sort of. I'm fine with lots of sort of card draw. Alright, I don't think we want Proliferate. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it. Except the copy isn't legendary. You may choose. That's a fun card. This is a very commander card. But I think Jorian, Ruin Diver, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. Perfect. That's what I want. I want nice and cheap. I want my effects to be cheap in this deck, just because effectively we're double spelling a lot. Therefore, we want the mana value of our cards to be cheap. What does Stellar Lee do? Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library until in a turn you may play that card, copy target into a sorcery spell you control. So I think I like this. Effectively, it is a bit of card draw, but also it's a free way of doubling up one of these effects. And because we're kind of slightly overpaying for these effects because of the flexibility, I like the thought of getting them twice. Like getting 2 Brazen Borrowers for 2 mana. That's kind of that. We've gone from being slightly below rate to being slightly above rate. So Stellar Lee seems pretty solid. Second space turn, make a 4/4. This spell costs 2 less, which that's still very expensive. I don't think we want to amass orcs. I don't hate Crumb. It is a bigger version of Jorian's. That might be a reason not to get in. When you cast your second spell each turn, investigate. I think I like you more. You're cheaper. So we can double spell you with something else. I think I like that more. Ooh, you do draw a card. This is yeah, damn, that original Crumb has kind of got bodied. I think I like you more. Whenever you cast your second spell a turn, draw a card. It doesn't care what the second spell is. So how are we for card draw? We're 12 bits? Okay, that's actually pretty solid. I'm going to buff this up. I'm actually probably going to say we're going to want a bit more card draw. But actually, to an extent, I've just kind of... The specific cast 2 spells a turn cards I have just put into card draw because that's what they're helping out with. So to an extent, they do overlap there as well. Let's put... Tygam is specifically a reward for casting 2 spells a turn because it's doubling up that spell, copying that spell. So this is a dedicated 2 spells a turn. Let's just tag this up as cast 2 spells. And I'm partly doing this because I can't be asked to change the tags on these because it's a bit of a faff. Right, I hear this card is good. Corey Steel Cutter, 2 mana, equipment. Equip creature gets +1/+1 and has trampled on haste. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess. You may attach this equipment to it. That's a fine effect, but I don't think it's not really commandery. It's fine. It's not great. I don't think we need it in this deck, if I'm honest with you. Seems good in standard or something like that. That all the effects or all the cards we want that reward you for doing 2 things in a turn. All those immediate. Well, you turn untap target creature, then investigate. Whenever a player draws a second card each turn. Yeah, just having a look through, see what else is fun. Are you randomly expensive because you're what's his face? Chris Pine. This would be fun. I like this card, but it's not 30. It's not worth 30 quid. It's not 30 quidable getting in the deck. I think we're good. When it comes to my turn, you may sacrifice an artifact if you do flip it. No, we're not going to be flipping coins. Tomb of Horrors. Cast your second spell each turn. Copy it to complete the dungeon. This would be quite good, actually. Into the battlefield. You take the initiative. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, copy it. Okay, I think Tomb of Horrors is going to be really good in this deck. It's effectively a bigger Tygam. If you didn't want to add it because you don't like initiative, you don't have to. I am gonna fix these. Actually, no. We'll fix these. So we're going to up the card draw. We're going to go to 16 bits of card draw. And we're just going to narrow these down. I think that's better. I think I like that a bit more. Also, let's up the ramp. This seems like a deck that just wants to be doing things. So just more ramp and card draw. Like basically just by playing Magic, we are growing our commander. So that's kind of a nice thing to be doing in this deck. So just more ramp, more card draw. Go ham with stuff. Seems pretty solid. Right, let's get the other bits of card draw in. So we're just going to go for. So these are bits that aren't going to be adventures or omens, but they are going to be very cheap. So let's do mana value rather than EDH rank. So the reason for this is that these just let us go. These give us an easy. Spell to cast, a cheap and efficient spell to cast, so we can double spell in a turn nice and easily. I do like Birthday Escape, but I think we're going to be doing. We're not going to be doing Brainstorm. If your mana base is optimized and you have a bunch of fetch lands, then by all means run Brainstorm. But we do not want to be brainstorming, locking ourselves. Consider is fine. I think we want. Let's just get to P. So Git Probe? I think we can run. Git Probe is a free spell. Free to cast, nice and easy. I think I did see, someone shouted out Manamorphose in the chat. That is a very good suggestion. Effectively, it's a free spell. It replaces itself. We love that for us. I don't hate Leap. Am I weird for liking Leap? Target creature gains flying and turn draw card. Actually, there's one that gives it Shadow. Actually, I think we might want that one instead. We do want Ponder. We do want Preordain. Ooh, Ray of Erasure. I like it anyway. Shadow Rift. This is a vibe. Target creature gains Shadow until end of turn, draw a card. So do this on our commander. It basically means it can't be blocked that turn. That's kind of a vibe. Draw a card. We see Frantic Search in the chat. Yes, good. Nice. Effectively a free spell. So it's 3 mana, but it untaps 3 lands, so it's effectively 3. Draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. Actually, this is free. Let's get Manamorphose in there. Get them in. This is sort of card draw. Utopia Sprawl for that's more that's fixing, isn't it? Fixing and ramp. Yeah, we will definitely be. We'll look at ramp in a moment. Now snap. Ooh, snap might be tricky. I will be honest with you, just because we are a 3-color deck. Return. Oh, this is the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a blue card. You return target creature, return target creature card to its owner's hand, untap 2 lands. I don't hate this. It is effectively a free spell. We'll add you in for now. Yeah, we'll add you in the interaction section. I do quite like this. I like the free aspect of stuff. Seems pretty fun. Where were we on our card draws? We have 18 now. Let's just fix the numbers a touch. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll do the math in a minute. This probably seems fine. I think we do have room here. So that looks pretty solid. Let's do the ramp. So yeah, Utopia Sprawl seems solid. So yeah, so if we add you, I think half of our ramp. Let's just do the generic bits next of... What's the ones with Farseek? Farseek. I see in this in the chat. Yeah, Crash. Opt would be perfect. Opt would be solid. Our kind of card draw section is pretty stacked, but like, there's definitely room for like just more 1-mana cantrips in here. Just kind of just topping up this section because it's nice cheap cards to kind of just give you options to double spell in a turn. Let's. I think because effectively these for their ramp sides are effectively non-creatures apart from Bramble. So we have 6 non-creature ramp, 1 creature ramp. So I think that means we want mana dorks. Screw it. I'm going to my cube because I'm being lazy than just searching through. Alright. Birds of Paradise. I don't run that many mana dorks in my cube. Right. Llanowar Elves. Is it Delighted? Delighted Halfling. Let's have a look at the suggestions from the chat. We have Untimely... Untimely Malfunction. Torture Artifact, change the target spell. This is solid in... it'd be solid in the deck. Again, you could... Well, it's gone up in price a little bit. Yeah, you could definitely run this in the interaction section. We just have a bunch of solid options in here already because of the makeup of the deck. But you could run that. Yeah, this Disciple of Ronus is a solid one. I think it's Disciple of Ronus. That would be in the 2-mana slot in here. That should be in the 2-mana slot in here. Where is it? I could have sworn I added that card. I thought it was Disciple of Ronus. The one that... yeah, Fanatic of Ronus. We have a 4-mana... or 4-power commander in the command zone, so this comes down and taps for 4. That's pretty solid. You can get in. I think we're probably good for ramp then. Right, let's keep it going. So, maybe one more bit of ramp. So we have probably one more creature. What ones do I like? I like Biophagus. I like Biophagus. I think it's solid. Just adds a counter to something. Adds a counter to commander. Adds our... Oh, actually, hold on. No, I know what we need in here. We need the cost reduction spells, actually. That's the thing. Just because these are... Everything in there gets slightly over-costed. So... cost less. There's a goblin that does it. I know we want that one in here. Goblin Archaeomancer. Each spell you cast this red or green costs 1 generic less to cast. This will help this deck phenomenally. Look at all the green and red spells in here. Unfortunately, it won't help with the blue. But just this is effectively a repeatable bit of ramp. And because we already have a very solid, guaranteed bit of ramp section, this is a nice little bonus on top. Generally, with your ramp, you want to make sure you have at least 8 bits of guaranteed to ramp you. So Beanstalk Giant, Birds of Paradise, Bloomvale Regent, Bramble Familiar, Delight Halfling, Fanatic, Farseek, Llanowar Elves, Utopia Sprawl. The rest of the bits are nice bits of sprinkle on top, help out with the synergy of the deck. That kind of thing. Very solid. Right. What else is there? So we have a decent amount of ramp. We have a decent amount of card draw. Let's finish off the interaction. Again, we want cheap and efficient. So we are... Run Lightning Bolt in your commander decks, everyone. It's just good. We are going to slip in a Beast Within. Because it answers a little bit of everything. We don't have a board wipe. Let's just add... We'll add a Blasphemous Act for now. Just as a solid board wipe. Let's actually move you over to Protection, actually, I think. Sorry, we're at... because we want another board wipe. What's the solid board wipe in the cards? So there's plenty... we're going to add Azuri's Predation. Just because, again, it is a solid board wipe that gives us a board swipe and kind of advances the game. You could add any, like, more generic-y board wipe in here. So, Cyclonic Rift, anything like that. Add what you want. Make this deck your own. Marvellous. So, let's get some more solid bits in, and then we can kind of come back and... Yeah, let's finish off our section. So, Protection. So, we want... Eshki will become a very big threat in this deck, because everything is built around getting it massive. So, therefore, we do want ways of keeping it around. So, we have these kind of protection spells. I think let's do... Swiftfoot Boots. Just as a generic bit. And then I think for our last bit... Again, you can make this your own, but I just like... like this type of effect. So, on offer you can't refuse Swan Song. There's a couple more, but it's a single mana to counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. Non-creature spells is generally what we want to be countering with this, because that's most targeted removal and it's most board wipes. So that's where I would personally go with Protection. Like, I'll be honest with you, Negate is a perfectly fine Magic card in Commander. People should run it more. It's nice and cheap, and it counters the majority of things you actually want to counter if you're running it for Protection. We have 4 bits here. That's pretty solid. Recursion? We have this one in. Maybe we'll come back to Recursion. Let's just do some Voltron extra combat stuff. This is the fun stuff. So, what... I think we want extra combats, just because we have a beefy commander that's going to be getting bigger, and our board state will just be growing throughout the game. We have a lot of ramp, we have a lot of card draw, we have a lot of ways of just gaining advantage from people. So extra combat steps will definitely work. Oh, actually, hold on. At the beginning of combat on your turn, so if we have multiple combat steps, this will trigger again. Ooh! Ooh! Added synergy, everyone. That's pretty vibes. Additional... Actually, that's incredibly good, actually. If we're putting 4 counters on this turn and drawing 2 cards... Oh! Okay, we might actually up the amount of extra turn spells in here. Alright, what's good extra... What are great extra combat steps? So, we have... Aggravated Assault, I do love. Ooh, we could add this in the Dragon, just to give us unlimited combat steps. That's pretty funny. Actually, let's add that. It's a Voltron win con. So, there's Aggravated Assault... So this is a... You don't have to run this bit if you don't want to, but there's a dragon that adds mana when it attacks. Actually, both of these work, but Savage Ventmore and Aggravated Assault is effectively an infinite combo. Effectively, with Savage Ventmore, you attack with it, you make 6 mana, you then pay that mana into Aggravated Assault to take an additional combat phase. Actually, does that work? Because it doesn't ever... Aggravated Assault does say sorcery. Is that right? Have I just been cheating all these times? Pretty positive. Maybe I've been cheating all along. Maybe let's not add that. Savage Ventmore, Aggravated Assault. I could have sworn. Oh, until end turn you don't lose this mana. Yeah, that's why, because you can pay it after combat. Marvellous. Voltron, extra combat. Alright, let's just go through here. So I think extra combat steps are very good in this deck because at the beginning, because Eshki triggers at the start of combat, it doesn't say at the start of the first combat step. So if you have multiple combat steps, it will trigger multiple times. So if we've done the legwork in this deck of casting a non-creature spell and a creature spell, we'll draw 2 cards and put 4 counters onto it and get to attack twice with it. I think that's worth the extra combat steps. Aki Battle Sword, whenever one or more modified creatures you control attack, untap them. So if the counter on Eshki will make it a modified creature, so that seems pretty good. Also an extra combat step. I love Bloodthirster. So it's going to get in. Again, you can basically make this your own, so Combat Celebrant is probably a more efficient one. So let's add the efficient one. Let's add Combat Celebrant as an efficient one. But I want Bloodthirster because it's a vibe. No more other notes than that. Bloodthirster is a vibe. Get in the deck. I think I remember reading a White Dwarf article years ago. White Dwarf is the Warhammer magazine, for anyone who doesn't know. Basically, it was they put every legendary creature from old school Warhammer into Arena to fight each other like one-on-one. They did this big tournament, and they also just added a Bloodthirster in, and Bloodthirster was the most powerful creature in old school Warhammer, which is nuts. Love me a Bloodthirster. You can really make this section your own. Run the ones that work best for you. I want to just like guaranteed efficient ones. This one, Karlach, Fury of Avernus, is pretty solid whenever you attack. If it's the first combat phase this turn, untap all attacking creatures, they gain first strike. Until turn, after this phase, there's an additional combat effect. So, yeah, so first strike and Vigilance and Trample is always pretty solid. Let's add you in. Let's have a look at any notes. There's some good suggestions in the chat. Let's have a look. So, the Gangrene 88 has mentioned effects that go and get your second spell from the deck. So this is a creature that when it enters, exile target instant sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. So this lets you get the second one back. So that's pretty solid. I like this suggestion. I like Snapcaster Mage. I think we'll add that. We were light on some recursion. I like this quite a lot actually, because eventually this lets you go and this lets you snap back one of the instants. I'm not sure how this. I don't think this works fantastically with the. Actually, in this build, so this is a good conversation. I think this is effectively going the Snapcaster Mage way is very solid, but I think the difference with the way that we built it is that it doesn't get back these. I'm pretty positive these are creatures in the graveyard, and a lot of the adventures are going to be in the adventure zone. I'm just trying to check how many just actual instant. We probably have enough with Git Probe, Manamorphose, Ponder, Preordain, and our removal that it probably works. But it's, if you could really build around these type of effects like Snapcaster, Direfleet, Daredevil that goes and gets what you want. I think because we still want some recursion in here, I think I do like Snapcaster Mage just because it's good and efficient. But like just do be aware you are going to have less targets for it than you might think. But like getting back a Farseek is solid. Getting back a Ponder is fine. Like getting back a counterspell. I think just with the build that we have, this isn't going to be the strongest. I think if we're going to want to run these effects, yes. Someone's mentioned in the chat the beefy Snapcaster Mage, the harmonized one. Oddly, in this deck, I think this might be a bit better, just because it's a bit of beef as well. Yeah, I think this might be a bit better, because this helps us cast, like, Azuri's Predation, or, like, Blasphemous Act a bit better, or, like, Beast Within. So I think Songcrafter Mage gets in. I think that's a... Yeah, I can see the Gangrene. Gangrene. Yeah. Just having being a bit lighter on adventures makes it a bit easier. But yeah, definitely a very cool way of taking it. Where's Recursion? Right, we're gonna Voltron Extra Combat. Just updating some tags. We don't want to get rid of Voltron. Right, marvelous. Alright, so we are pretty close to having a deck here. Let's just have a look at some suggestions. There's a bunch of people chatting and love that. Thank you all for being here. So we do have the bulk of the deck. This deck would now function, but let's add some spice. Let's see what... Chat, what do you got for me on this Friday morning? Khan's Temporal Sundering. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to one target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Khan's Temporal Sundering. Ooh, so... Actually, yeah, this and Snap, actually, return target creature to its hand, is a nice way of resetting adventures. Yeah, I guess extra turn spells are an additional way of getting extra combat steps. I think we can add this. I think it's definitely a thing of... you'll know if you want, from a power level point of view, to be able to cast... if you want extra turns. If you're cool with extra turns in the deck, then you can definitely add this as a way of getting additional combat steps. Because extra turns are extra combat steps. Bring to Light. Very solid card. Nice little bit of... A nice tutor. Pretty solid in this deck. I'm not going to add it just because I'm not as much of a fan of tutors, if I'm honest with you. Again, if you want to optimize this deck, definitely add it. I generally just go ham on card draw nowadays. But yeah, this is definitely... you can add Bring to Light to one of these sections if you wanted to make this deck your own. Enter the Enigma also sounds good, especially with Voltron. Makes it a win con paired with Aggravated Assault and Ventmore. Ooh, we love that. Enter the Enigma. Target creature can't be blocked this turn, draw a card. We have... Oh, there's a better version of this. Okay, marvellous. We have Shadow Rift, and I'm going to keep Shadow Rift in purely for vibes, because I love Shadow Rift. But yeah, very solid card. This is definitely something you could add as add to card draw section and add to your win con. Right, we have about 6 more cards to add. Someone mentioned earlier, and I'm kind of here for this, Cascade. Let's look at some Cascade effects. These seem like they could be quite fun in this. Ooh, so I really love Bigger on the Inside. I think this is a great Magic card. 5 mana, Enchantment Aura. Go with me, it gets better. Enchant Artifact or Land. Enchanted Permanent has tap. Target player adds 2 mana of any one color. The next spell they cast this turn has Cascade. This is just repeatable Cascade. I'm not surprised. This is a card that's kind of actually finding this is a bit harder. Obviously, it's Doctor Who, which if you're not a fan of Universes Beyond, could be an issue for some people. But I think this is a sweet card. Just repeatable Cascade is sick. Yes, it is 5 mana. Yes, it's not the best bit of ramp, but I think this is phenomenal. We're going to add this to our ramp section. I dare not look at the curve. Actually, let's have a quick... a wedge, you say? But that's just because, as we mentioned earlier, because like Stormkeld Vanguard is a 6-drop, not a 2-drop, from the curve point of view. This will be better than what we initially thought. Don't worry, everyone. What other Cascade stuff is cool? Let the Galaxy burn? Ooh. It's sort of a border wipe, I don't hate that. I mean, we could just add Maelstrom Wanderer. Gives all our creatures haste. Sort of Voltron-y. Let's just... We'll probably leave that untagged for the time being. I love Noise Marine. Noise Marine is a vibe. Meow, darling. Where have you been? So the cat's just been fed, been watered, and now she comes and says hello. Hello, darling. What's your favourite Cascade creature? Come on, cat. Come on. Come on. Hello. Little lady, hello. Marvellous. I also, sorry, another thing for bigger on the inside is that it is a non-creature. So if we cast it and then cascade into one of its creatures, we're then going to be able to cast it and trigger our commander, which we love. Call forth the Tempest. What do? You seem big and commandery. 8 mana, you say. Cascade, cascade. Call forth the Tempest deals damage equal to creatures your opponent controls equal to the total mana of spells, other mana spells you cast this turn. That's a vibe. Despite loving the Despite loving the Commander, the Lord of the Rings product, I don't remember seeing this card. But let's add you. You seem very big and dumb and stupid. I love Cascade, Cascade. Cascade Rebound. We could just do this. Is this solid? Into the Time Vortex, Cascade. 5 mana Cascade will cascade into a bunch of stuff in the deck, and then Rebound. If you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as resolves. At the beginning of the next combat step, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. So you just get 2 lots of Cascade. That's pretty solid. Let's add you in. Throes of Chouse. What do you do? That's not... Cascade Retrace. That could be better, actually. You could add that or into the Vortex. Into Time Vortex. I think we'll do into Time Vortex just because I think 5 mana is going to hit more things in this deck. So we're pretty close to the end and pretty close to a time. Let's do the last second sanity check on EDH Rec. This will also help us with some utility lands. Let's see what they've added generically. So... what do you? During your turn, spells you cast cost 1 direct class for each creature you control with 1. That's pretty solid, actually. I think I like that in ramp. It's another Goblin Archaeomancer. And we are going to have a creature with power 4 or greater. That could be pretty good. Let's add you in generically. Ramp. Or set a nice bit of recursion. You could add that. So... yeah, we've already got a bunch of this stuff in. So, like, Snakeskin Veil is solid. Like, a cheap bit of protection. Like... it's looking like this is a similar sort of thing. Yeah, you definitely add like more Nature's Law effects just for your ramp. This seems pretty solid. We haven't gone as ham with free spells. You could definitely add more free spells. They seem pretty good. Yeah, this looks pretty on board. Ooh, Rattleclaw Mystic. I do like you. Let's just go to the... we're on 62. Probably fair in this deck. Let's just go to utility lands and see what's here. Yeah, Rogue's Passage is going to be good. Nice way of pushing through damage. We love that. Kessig Wolf Run. Love that. Mosswort Bridge. Love that. Yeah, Bonder's Enclave and Arena of Glory. Just giving something haste. I do like. That seems to be it. Yeah, from utility lands, that seems fair. In terms of regular lands, so I will finish off the deck later with just lands, with a decent but cost-effective land suite. Let's have a look at the deck. I think this looks fun. We're slightly higher on lands than I would normally run, but probably in a good way that means it's actually correct. I still get struggle with the not being partial Paris, not being able to get away with 32 lands anymore. But let's be reasonable. Yeah, I like Besage again. Yeah. So this is effectively a base. People can one of the main reasons I build decks this way is so that people can really make them their own. These are guides. I will update these with kind of what we've ended up with, but effectively, yeah. If you like different bits of ramp, swap it out. If you like different bits of interaction, definitely swap it over. Like that's one of the cool things about doing it this way is that I don't like doing hard and fast lists on this channel. And it's why, like, when I've done videos in the past, it's always been like, here are some suggestions of cards you can add. Because everyone's budgets are different, everyone's playstyles are different. Like, some people might not like the initiative. Very fair. It's not for everyone. But for this deck, I think Tomb of Horrors Adventures is going to be pretty solid. That's where I think we're going to have to end it for today. As I mentioned, yeah, the link to this deck will be in the description below, and I will finish off. I will tag up everything that's not been tagged. I will add a decent mana suite. If you do want to copy this, if you do just want to take it stock as it is, definitely feel free to copy it, do what you want with it. If you are thinking of picking up any cards, please consider using our TCG Player affiliate link in the show notes below. It helps us out. Any money the channel makes has just gone on more kit for the channel. I don't know if you can hear my computer having a moan at me for being... but the fan needs replacing. All this kind of stuff. It helps out. Greatly appreciated. Also remember to please share to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you all for being here. There's a lot of people chatting today. Greatly appreciated. Definitely helps out with these deck builds. We found a bunch of cool cards and a bunch of interactions I would not have found by myself without you. So yeah, so thank you for chatting. Thank you all for being here. That's going to do it for this week. We'll be back on Monday. Enjoy your weekends all, and we'll catch you all soon. Goodbye.